Welcome to In the Middle. I'm Vykky. I'm a wife, a mom, and a leader shaping some of the world's most beloved brands. This is the podcast for all of us figuring it out in real time. In 20 minutes or less, let's get in the middle of it all. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, y'all, welcome back to In the Middle. I'm so glad you're back. In today's episode, we are going to talk about burnout. We're going to talk about the signs when it shows up, what it means when it shows up, and how to get yourself out of it. Today, I'm drinking a blue slush Alani Nu. I love the slush line. It is my favorite. Let's get into this. I'm not burnt out today, but I still need my energy drink. All right. So to give you a little context and background on how I became familiar with burnout, I was in therapy. I think y'all know this by now. I'm a huge proponent of therapy. If you ever need someone to tell you go, I'm telling you, go. It's going to be so helpful. Don't wait until you're in a crisis to pursue it. So I'm in a therapy session and I'm talking to her about some of the things I'm navigating. And I shared with her, like, hey, I'm noticing, like, I will have deadlines for work or things that I need to accomplish at home, and I cannot bring myself to do it. I will go and clear my inbox out. I can get my inbox to zero. I'm doing surveys from Delta and Saks Fifth Avenue, but I cannot tackle the projects. And she said to me, oh, you sound like you're burnt out. And I was like, no, I'm still producing. I'm still doing these things. And she's like, but you can't bring yourself to do work that has a deadline looming. And it just hit me like, oh my gosh, why am I struggling to do the thing that typically wouldn't take me any time to do? And then she said, well, that's a way of your brain protecting itself. And that truly blew my mind. And I could see the protection in that. So today, if you are working it, you are feeling like, hey, I'm getting to it, but there is something off, this episode is for you. We will talk about the different things that you can do, the ways that you can look for the signs to see, okay, burnout is looming, what to do when you're in the thick of it, and how to pull yourself out of it. We are going to unpack all of that today. So the first truth, let's jump right into it, is your body knows way before your mind will tell you. So what I've noticed now that I have the language for burnout is that there are signs. There will be signs. There are signs that I have gathered when I can see myself getting into burnout territory. I am more irritable. By nature, I am a naturally sort of positive, optimistic person. I have typically a lot of patience and grace, and I'm easygoing. But when I am in burnout territory, I tend to be shorter with my family. My patience is shorter with my peers and colleagues, and I just am overall more irritable. And so I've recognized that sign. Another sign that I've noticed is the eating. And we can get into a whole episode, and we will get into a whole episode on health and emotional eating and all of the things. But what I will say today is when I am getting close to burnout, I find myself mindlessly eating a lot more. I'll look up and there's like 2 bags of the like snack bag chips on my desk, and it's like, how did that happen? How did that get here? And so when I see those patterns, it's a signal to myself that, okay, girl, let's check in. How are we feeling overall? Because the mindless eating, the emotional eating is definitely a trigger and a sign to me. Another major sign that I've recognized over the years is isolation, actually. And I don't know if that's common for everyone, but for me, my brain gets too noisy. And so when I am feeling completely overwhelmed and burnt out, I do everything that I can to isolate. So as soon as I wake up, I am like just trying to get to the office as quick as I can, get in the car as quick as I can. I'm putting headphones on. I just want to be left alone. And it's not that I don't want to interact with family or my peers or friends, but it's more so that I'm just trying to quiet the noise. And so when I see myself opting out of dinners with friends, not wanting to go to birthday parties or gatherings, not spending as much quality time with my family, that is another telltale for me that, okay, you may be getting into burnout territory. And the hardest thing with that last one, with isolation, is that I'm isolating from my family. And so that brings a side of wife and mom guilt. So that little combo really does me in. So I'm working really, really hard to try to mitigate me even getting close to burnout territory. I think that burnout sometimes gets a bad rap, and I think we package it incorrectly. Early on, before I had the language I needed to understand that I was experiencing burnout, I would just feel like I was being lazy. And I would say, like, oh, I just need to work harder. Why can't I push through this? Very, very hard talk towards myself. And I know I am someone who is like, okay, tough love and all of that. And I think that that has really helped to fuel me to be successful, but only if it's managed properly. If you are too hard on yourself and talk down to yourself too much, it can, of course, get unhealthy and it's certainly not helpful. And so when I realized that, like, hey, I'm not being lazy, my brain is just actually trying to protect itself, it helped me to be kinder to myself and to really give my body and brain what it needed, which was rest. I found that in that conversation with my therapist, she shared that because I'm like, well, I am still doing things, right? I'm doing the surveys, I'm clearing out my inbox, I am still being productive. And she's like, yeah, your brain will allow you to do certain things because you still have bodily autonomy. But when it's time for you to be creative or strategic or be trying to set vision, your brain won't allow it. And that was so true. So if you find yourself today in a place where I just can't get over this hill, I'm not saying you're burnt out, but I just wonder, are you somewhere in its territory? And that is why the thing that just comes naturally, whether it is creating content or you're writing a 3 to 5 year strategic plan for your family or for your job, I wonder, is there some symptoms of burnout looming that's keeping you from moving forward in that project? I another thing that I sort of personally struggled with is like looking around the room and not seeing anyone else, at least seemingly showing signs of burnout. And it did make me feel pretty alone because, again, at the time, we weren't talking about it like that. It was very much, we were very big on hustle culture at the time. People were having 2 and 3 jobs, side gigs, all of that. And here I am, just a wife early on in her marriage, a bonus mom, and I couldn't understand why I just felt this perpetual state of drowning. And what I found and what I wanted to prepare for this episode in order to maybe encourage you, because I also think, honestly, when you start to feel like, oh, it's just me, I'm lazy, etc., part of me feels like that's a trick of the enemy to isolate you and to keep you in a like downtrodden state. So I got receipts, y'all. I learned in my research that according to the American Medical Association, in general, 44% of US working women have reported being burnt out, while 36% of men have. If we zoom out a bit more and look globally, 46% of women reported burnout, whereas 37% of men reported burnout. So, what did that do for me? And what I hope it also does for you? One, it tells us that we're not alone. And that in and of itself is freeing to realize it's not just a you thing. Two, it is burnout is real. It validates it, it gives it a name, and it helps us to plant a seed to move forward. And third, and the saddest, is that it disproportionately impacts women. And so having that information really helped me to move forward in figuring out, how do I move past this? How do I, one, prevent it? And when now, yeah, I'm in the thick of it, how do I get out of it? And that moves me to my second truth, which is burnout is not a personal failure. It's a systems issue that requires structure. So what does that look like in practice? In the beginning of my career and probably mid-career, I would come up with these very comprehensive to-do lists. I mean, I would have 20 to 40 things on my to-do list. And I operated like that at a pretty high like functioning capacity for a really long time. But I noticed over time it started to feel daunting. I would start my day with this huge to do list, and I would feel overwhelmed and defeated before the day would even start. So, one of the unlocks that I have started to do in the last probably 7 years is I've transitioned it, and I brought it today to show y'all. I've transitioned to a planner, a daily planner, old school. I still use like OneNote and Evernote, things like that, but I have a daily planner and I'll show you, but not show you because I don't want you in my business. But I will show you that I keep a list where I have approximately 5 to 7 spots for to-dos for the day. And at the top of this, there are 3 blocks that says this week's top 3, and I'll unpack that a little bit. But having this 5 to 7 list really helps me to, okay, here are the things that I'm going to commit to today that I can accomplish. I'm not looking ahead to tomorrow. I'm pulling the things that either this has to get done today or it has to get done in the next 2 to 3 days. I'm putting those on my to-do list with the most important time-sensitive thing at the very top. And as I do those things, I check it off. I don't know about you, but the gratification of marking something off, it gets the endorphins going. I love it. And so even if it's something that I know I'm going to do, I will write it on my to-do list, wait a couple of minutes, mark it off. I don't know why my brain works that way, but my brain likes it. So I give her what she likes. So I like to keep it 5 to 7 things. When I get to the end of my workday or the end of my weekend, because I use this on the weekend too, I will go ahead and do an arrow for things that I didn't accomplish, which would say like, hey, you need to move this to the next day to signal how I set my day for the next day. Or if it's a project that got canceled, I will put a big X through to say, don't worry about this thing is dead. And of course, if I accomplish a thing, I'm checking it off. I don't plan my days ahead in my planner for that very reason, because there are instances where something I really wanted to get to just didn't get addressed. And so I get the opportunity to move it to the next day. So I mentioned earlier my 3 parts at the top. Now, I would say that the way that the planner is designed, it says this week's top 3. And this planner is by Day Designer. They're not sponsoring this, but I've used this planner again for many, many years. I had a bigger one, and now I've kind of gone to a smaller one. But it's a great brand, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a big unlock. But anyway, it says this week's top 3, and typically, I think the way they designed it is that you were supposed to put the top 3 things that you wanted to accomplish in that planner. But what I have done as a way to be kind to myself in my mind, I've put key words that I want to focus on. So in the past, I've said things like joy, integrity, be present, win, any of those words that, like, if I felt like there was a deficit in a certain area or I wanted to model that behavior for that week, I would put those words in that top 3 bucket. And that has been a really good unlock for me and how I keep the most important things top of mind. Right now at the top, I have, just to encourage you, I have discipline, I have be present, and I have win. So that's what I'm focused on this week. I would also say, in addition to kind of putting those structures in place to help that system issue of burnout, you have to automate your life where you can. So what does that look like in practice? I like to pick out all my clothes for the week, and maybe I can post this on social, but I have essential, and I'm looking over here because it's posted on this wall right here, but I have a list of what I'm going to wear each day. I just write it out. And I know that that may seem extreme, but it is one less thing that I have to think or worry about in the middle of the week. And I would imagine that a lot of women, getting dressed can be really great when you're feeling great about yourself and your body, or it can be a really daunting and stressful task. And it really sucks when that is how you start your day. And so to mitigate that, I try on everything that I plan to wear in the week. I inspect it. I make sure there are no stains, no rips, anything like that. I go ahead and press them out. Sometimes I don't iron everything for the whole week. Sometimes I just get myself to Wednesday with a commitment that I write in the planner to do the rest of it for the rest of the week. That has been a huge unlock for me in feeling good about what I'm wearing, to know that things are picked out. I'm out the door faster because I've sort of fixed that part of the time suck for me, and how it can kind of impact the start of my day and having one more thing to think about. I think that is where, and if you aren't familiar with the term capsule wardrobe, that is why a capsule wardrobe is so popular, especially among public figures, political leaders, etc., because it's one less thing you have to make a decision about. And so if you are someone who is like not crazy about fashion, you like a little bit of a uniform, consider having a capsule wardrobe. You have a couple of blazers, a couple of tops, and some jeans and pants and skirts that you just cycle in and out, and you're done. That's one less thing to think about. I would also say that when you think about why developing these systems and this structure matters so much, especially for women, we carry this invisible mental load, and we carry it whether we have full families or not. Because I remember being a single woman and I only had 2 dogs to be responsible for. There was still this mental load of friends, things that I was doing with my church, career stuff. There was just always this responsibility that I had to carry. And so when you have all of these tasks constantly floating around in your mind, by default, you've already added more mental load than our male counterparts. And so that is why having a structure to address the system issue is critical, especially for women. But I would say for men as well, having these opportunities to automate things in your life, whether if you're not big on cooking and you have the budget, getting food service, making plans to get batch meals made, whatever it is, laundry service, if you have the budget and you have the resources to do it, automate as much as you can so you can free up that mental load that also impacts and pushes you closer towards burnout. All right, so now that we have identified the signs and we have figured out the structure for the systems, we need to talk about the importance of micro and macro rest and why your community needs to be involved. So I think, and it's to no one's fault, but I think we have almost weaponized self-care, and we've diminished it down to like, girl, get your hair done. That's self-care. Get your nails done. That's self-care. And that is a very micro version of self-care. In order to mitigate and prayerfully eliminate burnout, we need real self-care. And we can't only do it in micro, but we also can't also only do it in macro. So what does that mean in practice? Every single day, you need to do something that is explicitly for you. That could mean going on a walk, listening to a podcast. It could mean taking a long bath. It could mean holding a commitment to yourself, like I'm going to log off work at 5:30 today, no matter what. Whatever that thing is, you have to do it. You are the most important investment you will ever make. So keeping that daily thing that you've committed to, you have to do it. That is one small way for you to manage burnout and to keep yourself from it. I'd also say that burnout, although it is an important thing for you to track and for you to manage, you can't fully manage it alone. So I've talked in a few different episodes around your board of directors. In the same way, you have to bring people along. So I will say, using me as an example, of course, when I can feel burnout coming, I'll say to my husband, like, hey, I'm feeling a little short. I'm feeling a little low on capacity. Can you pick up an extra morning duty, night duty with our little Jordan? And so, and we split kind of the parenting of her in morning and night duty. So whoever gets up with her, helps her to get dressed, get her ready for school, etc. The other parent does the night duty, the dinner time, bedtime, bath time, etc. So that's the way we do it. Everybody has their own system. Do your thing. But there are times where I'm like, I'm not feeling it. Can you pick up an extra night duty? And he's like, yep, I got you. So the first step is communicating your needs. I think I've said this before, but for the sake of saying it, no one is coming to save you. You have to advocate for yourself. It would be a shame that you sit here and burn out in silence and not give your community, however it's designed, an opportunity to step in to help you. So I try to tell my husband and I tell my friends, like, dude, can you pray for me? Because I'm struggling. I'm feeling the pinch. I'm feeling like I'm feeling burnt out. And so I'm asking for it in the spiritual sense, but then I'm asking for it in the natural sense as well. So if you're doing those micro things, you can also do it in a more macro way. What I started to do probably back in 2001, maybe 2002, I think it was 2001, I started to do quarterly staycations. So what does that look like in practice? I will take a Friday off from work. I will check into a hotel and I will either make it just a time of rest, relaxation, good food, good book, walking around, a little shopping, not crazy shopping. This is not that, because shopping is also a coping mechanism that I struggle with. So this is not that. This is just an opportunity for you to really slow down, intentionally rest, reconnect with yourself, and continue to heal your mind and your body from all of the pressure and stress that you feel in the day to day. Now, it's not lost on me that that is a luxury that I get to do 4 times a year. Just for those who feel like, hey, I can't afford to do that. I think there are creative ways for you to accomplish it. I wonder if you and a friend maybe split a hotel and you get like a 2 bedroom and you make the commitment that you can see each other occasionally, but this isn't time to hang out with a friend, because even though it might be an enjoyable time, that too brings its own pressure and responsibility to be present for your friend. He or she may be wanting to kind of dump and share all of their things. This isn't the opportunity to do that. So if you can say like, hey friend, let's split this room, but we're going to do our own thing. We might do one dinner together or a quick lunch or coffee. That's completely fine. But it is really about you taking a slower pace to calm down, be still, be quiet, and work on healing your mind and body. Doing that on a quarterly basis not only gives you that built-in space to relax and rest, it also gives you something to look forward to. And that was an unlock that I didn't realize I had until I had my next one booked. And it just, I don't know really the science behind it, but it was like, you know what? I can press on. Like I can make it to the next thing. And it just gave me something to look forward to. So I would encourage you to build in your quarterly recovery sessions or rest sessions. And even if you can't do it quarterly, maybe the unlock for you is just twice a year at this point. I would encourage you to at least get a couple in a year just so you can really start feeling it. And if you can't do it twice a year or quarterly, I wonder, do you punch up your monthly check-ins and maybe you do one night in a hotel versus two, or you have multiple massage sessions booked in a month versus doing maybe once a month, something like that. You have to do something that intentionally makes you slow down, put your phone down, close your work laptop, and just get back to you, get to a quiet space and really rest. Okay, friends, so that is it for the burnout episode. Let's unpack the 3 truths as we go away and reflect this week on watching out for the signs. So the first truth is your body will tell you the truth long before your mind will. Truth number 2, burnout is not a personal failure. It's a systems issue that requires structure. And truth number 3, Rest must be micro and macro, and you must include your community. So, how are you feeling? Are you checking in with yourself? If you're feeling like, ooh, I have language now and I think I'm a little burnt out, it's good to acknowledge. Now, the next step is, how do you get yourself out of it? Re-listen to the episode if you need to. Look at your notes. If you feel like, hey, I'm feeling good, do you have some dedicated me sessions built in? Do you have any quarterly staycations? And I just want to be clear that a family vacation is not the same thing, because you're still responsible. You're parenting, you're wifing, you're momming. That's not going to refill your cup and your energy in the way that being completely alone will do. So maybe the takeaway today is to book that next quarterly. I'd love to hear about it. Drop it in the comments, send us a DM. Remember, you are the most important investment you can ever make. Please make yourself a priority. Not only will you benefit from it, but everyone around you will too. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening to In the Middle. If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend and click subscribe so you never miss an honest conversation about life in the middle. I'll see you next time.